Hi, welcome back to Burning River Bushcraft. Today we're going to take this Tramontina Bolo machete and we're going to sharpen it and modify the handle. So I've got several style machetes that I use a lot. I've got several Tramontina machetes as well. So this is a great brand and pretty inexpensive. This is under $20. I've got a couple different patterns of this, and normally when I use one I sharpen it up and I'll start to play with the profile and change it around a little bit. That's not what I'm looking to do today. I want to keep this classic bolo look. I want to try this style out, and I want to make a sheath that's repeatable so I can just order a new machete off of Amazon, throw it in my sheath, sharpen it up real quick like we're going to do today, and go ahead and use the thing. So these Tramontinas, they are good steel, they are good machetes, but they're very, very rough when you get them. That's probably the biggest downside, is you've got to invest a little bit of sweat equity to get this thing up and usable. There is, I would say, almost no edge whatsoever. Just kind of a courtesy edge. You would be really hard pressed to use this in its current form. And the handle as well, the wood is very proud, so the wood is higher than the steel. I want to keep this curl in the back because this is a tip heavy design. So I'm probably going to take the wood down, round it a little bit, and just make it a little more comfortable without getting too drastic with anything. So if this is the kind of thing you like, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell to be notified of my latest, and go ahead and leave me a comment in the comment box. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Burning River Bushcraft. I also teach outdoor classes at outdoorcore.com. We'll be using hand tools for this. So instead of using any power tools, I'm going to be using files and rasps and sandpaper and a strop to get this thing razor sharp. It's always good to set realistic goals before you start. My goal with this is to be able to take a machete right out of the box and just sharpen it up till I can work wood with it using hand tools. I'm going to take a little bit past that because I've got a strop available here. But if I was to ship one of these to a location that I might be going to, I want to be able to just take a file and give myself a coarse enough edge where I can go ahead and work wood with it. Anything beyond that is a bonus, and we're going to get there today, but that is my goal, is just to be able to take this thing and process wood, make feather sticks, and do a little bit of carving with it. So at home I would be using something like this. This is a mill bastard file. This is a longer file than what I'm going to be using for this job, so it's going to be more efficient. Also, I've got a handle on here, so I will not be cutting my hand or have no chance to cut my hand. What I'm going to actually use is trying to be a little more realistic with this. This is a 4-in-1 hand. So this is a half round metal file on wood rasp, and on the inside here I've got a flat metal file and a flat wood rasp. I will be using this to develop my edge and get my basic edge formed. I am going to be using caution because if I go too far, you can possibly cut your hand. Once I get to the next step, I'm going to be using a puck. This works great on axes. I think this is a Lansky puck. So this is a two-side. This is coarse and this is fine. But the edge on this, there's no edge whatsoever. So I need something beyond the coarse. So I'm going to hit it with a file first. So because I'm spoiled by the Ultimate Sportsman's Workbench, I'm going to be using that to hold this down. I can do this freehand, I just choose not to. So I'm going to use my hold fast, and then I got a little scrap of leather here so I don't mar the machete. This is a softer tool, and it's kind of, they know what you're doing with this thing, so they know you're going to damage it. This is something that you're going to be digging with. You're going to not treat this tool like you would some of your finer tools. So I was able to get a coarse burr really, really easy with this. Now, when I hold it up here, you can see all these metal filings. So I'm starting from the tip and I'm driving steel back towards the back of the spine. I'm keeping my angle nice and level, and if you look, you can see my file drag marks. And that courtesy edge that the factory gave me kind of gives me a stopping point. Now here's the other side that I didn't touch yet. Right now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to just go ahead and match that burr. So it's a simple process of creating a burr. So I'm pushing steel. And when I have that burr like I do right now, I'm going to go from the other side and break that burr off. Then go back and forth. And I could clamp this up, but I'm going to sharpen the forward third just with a hand, just holding it in my hand, because that's what's going to be more realistic if you were going to try to do this in the field or in a situation if you didn't have a workbench like I do. So I'm just going to stick this machete against my bench, get the right side of my file here. With just a file, and not a very good file at that, I'm able to get this thing sort of kind of sharp. I do have a burr. It's a pretty coarse burr. It's pretty rough looking. You can see the file marks in it. And I spent most of my time working on this tip because the tip was completely, they just gave up on it. They didn't even attempt to make this sharp at all. And right now, I'll show you what I mean. It's sharp enough to cut cordage, but I can feel it. I don't know if you can hear it. Yeah. So you hear that as it's hitting those burrs and dragging. So essentially this is like a really, really fine saw. This is not knife sharp. Yeah, see how rough that is? So with this heavy burr, I mean, I can make a feather stick, sorta. But not a very good one. So we're close, but we're not even thinking about what I want to take this. So we're going to go ahead and go over the grits using this puck. So this is a two-sided Lansky puck. This is kind of similar to any stone that you would have anywhere else. This is just kind of handy to carry with you. Before I get this any sharper, I just want to address this handle real quick. I'm just going to take the wood rasp part of that 4-in-1 hand, and I'm just going to take this down to where the top of the full tang is kind of exposed. I don't want to have this slippery on the back, not at all, but I want to be able to use this thing, and right now there's just all kinds of hot spots on this handle. So rasp and sandpaper, this handle feels pretty good. It's same contour. Again, I'm not doing anything too drastic to it, but the hot spots are all gone right now. So I've got a machete I can at least hold on to without developing blisters, and it's sharp enough to cut cordage and sharp enough to kind of sort of make a feather stick. We're definitely not done yet, but we are making progress. One thing I am going to do before I want this edge sharp is I'm going to take this and give myself a 90-degree spine. So I'm going to use the machined flat edge of this 4-in-1 hand, and I'm just going to go dead center flat. So I'm not going to really be putting an angle on this at all like I'm sharpening. I'm just going to take it flat. And you'll see how crappy this looks, the top of this unfinished spine. So it's gonna show all the marks as I put it down here. It's gonna show me exactly where I'm putting that burr, and it's probably gonna look better when I'm done. So you can see the shine on here, and you can feel the burr, and here's just an old ferro rod. So that's another 2-minute modification on a $20 tool that's going to make it that much more versatile. So with a longer tool like an axe or a machete, I usually just kind of support it and look down the blade. So my technique with this, I'm holding the exact same angle as I did with the file. It's pretty well established at this point. My fingers are clear, and I'm just working small circles. And I'm working towards the back of the spine. So I'm not pulling away, I'm pushing. So right now it's got a pretty good burr on it right now. This is almost legit sharp. It's still coarse. That drag and that cordage over there actually seemed like a pretty good demo. Let's see here. Yeah, you can hear it. So this ain't bad right here. I'm gonna go ahead and use the medium grit and just kind of finish it out with that. And this is field sharp. So if you had your machete as sharp as I'm gonna make it, it's gonna dull up pretty quick. So something like this, you can pull your stone out, sharpen this thing up in the field, strop it, whatever you're gonna do. And this is sharp enough to really get by any field task that you would need a machete for. Now when I do the lighter grit, so this is the medium grit, I'm easing up on the pressure. I don't use as much pressure as I did because I'm really not removing that much metal anymore. And you can hear it, it sounds quite a bit different. So I'm just going to spend a little time on this, and it doesn't need much. A lot of times on a longer blade like this, you'll have a spot that's more comfortable to work, and that's what I've got right now. I've got a couple spots that are really sharp, and I've got other spots that I must have just glanced over. So I'm going to do my best to even this whole thing up, and I'll show you what it can do when it's puck sharp. This is plenty sharp for a machete right now. Any sharper, and I'm going to tell you right now, you're wasting your time. It's going to be cool. It's going to look better. It's going to last, 2-3 chops, and that's about it. This is plenty sharp for cutting cordage right now. This is paracord, which is a little more difficult to cut than that jute, and slice right through it like it's nothing. Multiple points up and down the blade. As far as working wood with this thing, see if I can do it. Put the camera up in the air here. Yeah. There we go. Kind of hard to control. So that ain't too awful bad. So we've taken a $20 tool, a file, and a puck, and not that much time at all. And this is a one-tool option for damn near anywhere on the planet. You could make a pretty good argument to carry something like this. Now, it's not quite shave and sharpen, razor sharp, and all that cool stuff, but as I mentioned, this steel is tempered where it will bend. So the steel itself is flexible. So it's not designed to be rock hard where it's going to hold an edge all that well like a carving tool would. This thing would just chip right up. I'm going to go ahead and get the leather strop. We'll strop it up, and I'll show you what you can actually do with one of these things. So I've just got a piece of leather with some compound on it on a paint stick. That's all this is. When you're stropping like this, you're going to hold the same angle, and you're going to draw away from the edge. So all you're doing is breaking that burr. So this is going to take a little bit of time. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit this thing with the strop for a little bit, do a pretty decent job on it, and then show you how it looks when it's done. So this is a little bit easier to slice than newspaper because it's thicker, but this will slice anything. And when I go down the length of it, I don't feel any burrs. And I don't know if you can see the hairs on here, right there. So this still is not knife sharp in my opinion, but for a machete this is just silly. Don't waste your time doing this. Just get it sharp enough where you can process wood and stuff. I've taken these Tramatinas before and sharpened them up, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Look how sharp you can get this thing. And I've filleted fish out in the field with just the machete before, and it's just amazing just cutting through the scales and stuff how quickly this dulls. So this just drops its edge so quick, it's really not worth its time. So right now we have a $20 machete, or less than $20 machete, and it is ridiculously sharp. Got a 90-degree spine on it. The handle now has no hot spots and it's pretty comfortable to work, so this thing is ready for the field. So from an out-of-the-box, almost unusable tool to a contoured handle, razor sharp blade, 90-degree spine, badass survival tool, using only hand tools. So this is pretty much it for this one. I was going to do a jute wrap on the handle and then make a sheath for it as well, all in this video, but it's just getting to be too long. So I'm probably going to do the handle in a separate video. But till next time, this has been Jamie Boggs with Burning River Bushcraft.